our Toronto studios. This is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story tonight. McDonald's Corporation has acquired Alaniel Limited, a franchise of its restaurants in Israel, after facing global boycotts amid the Gaza war. The decision follows outrage and a worldwide boycott after Alaniel McDonald's Israel provided thousands of free meals and discounts to Israeli soldiers. CEO Omri Padan confirmed the sale of Alaniel. McDonald's reported a staggering $7 billion loss due to the boycott campaign. The sale reflects a broader trend of Western franchises facing pressure over their involvement with Israeli entities. The deal will be closed in the coming months. McDonald's Corporation, along with several others, said its international sales were hurt in the fourth quarter of 2023 after Israel launched its war on Gaza. The United Nations Human Rights Council has passed a resolution calling for Israel to be held accountable for its potential war crimes in Gaza. The resolution received 28 votes in favor, while 6 countries, including the US and Germany, voted against it. Despite international condemnation, Israel continues to bomb Gaza. Israeli strikes have killed 54 Palestinians and injured 82 others in the past 24 hours. One of the latest attacks targeted a residential house in the Nusayrat refugee camp, with Israeli fighter jets destroying the entire building. Israeli military's artillery units have pounded the eastern areas in Rafah, near the Egyptian border. At least 33,091 Palestinians have been killed and 75,750 wounded in Israeli attacks on Gaza since October 7th. The death toll in Israel from Hamas's October 7th attack stands at 1,139, with dozens of Israelis still held prisoners. The head of the humanitarian organization Doctors Without Borders has urged the United Nations Security Council to enforce its ceasefire resolution for Gaza. Christopher Lockyer is asking its members to ensure its resolution does not remain an act of meaningless political theater. Stressing the urgency of an immediate and sustained ceasefire, he called for an end to indiscriminate attacks on civilians and medical facilities. Lockyer is emphasizing the necessity for increased access across Gaza, especially in the north. He has also expressed concern over potential ground invasions in Rafah. Lockyer condemned attacks on humanitarian convoys, revealing his medical group's shelters were targeted, resulting in casualties among staff members' and families. His comments follow an Israeli airstrike that killed 7 members of the United States-based World Central Kitchen charity in Gaza earlier this week. President Joe Biden condemned the killing of aid workers of a United States-based charity in Gaza during a tense 30-minute call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He also urged an immediate ceasefire to halt the ongoing violence. Following the call, Israel announced it will allow temporary delivery of humanitarian aid through the port of Ashdod and the Beit Hanun land crossing, also known as the Erez checkpoint. The White House has stressed that the strikes on humanitarian workers were unacceptable, indicating a potential shift in U.S. policy towards Israel. Biden urged Israel to implement concrete reforms to address civilian harm and humanitarian suffering. Amid stalled ceasefire talks, Hamas has accused Israel of intransigence. Israel's military offensive has resulted in extensive casualties and infrastructure damage, worsening the humanitarian crisis in Gaza with shortages of food, water, and medicine. Despite this, the United States approved the transfer of additional bombs to Israel, citing a pre-approved sale. The conflict has forced 85% of Gaza's population into internal displacement, while 60% of its infrastructure has been damaged or destroyed, according to the United Nations. The Indian government's alleged assassinations in Pakistan, aiming to eliminate dissidents abroad, have been exposed by Indian and Pakistani intelligence sources. The British newspaper The Guardian reports that India's Research and Analysis Wing initiated these operations post-2019 under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's administration. The operations, reportedly targeting individuals deemed hostile to India, have led to nearly 20 killings in Pakistan since 2020. Those targeted include 6 separatists linked to the Khalistan movement, both in Pakistan and abroad. The Khalistan movement seeks an independent Sikh state in the region of Punjab. Pakistani investigators told the newspaper that these deaths were orchestrated by Indian intelligence sleeper cells, mostly operating out of the United Arab Emirates. The rise in killings in 2023 was credited to the increased activity of these cells, which are accused of paying millions of rupees to local criminals or poor Pakistanis to carry out assassinations. Indian agents also allegedly recruited militants to carry out the shootings, making them believe they were killing infidels. Open Internet advocates are supporting the Federal Communications Commission plan to vote on reinstating broadband oversight and net neutrality rules on April 25th. FCC Commissioner Jessica Rosen-Worcel emphasizes the necessity of restoring net neutrality to safeguard broadband networks, consumer data, and ensure an open internet. The proposed plan aims to reverse the previous administration's rollback by reclassifying broadband under Title II. Advocates assert that Title II classification will empower the FCC to protect internet users, promote competition, and address issues like digital redlining. They highlight the importance of net neutrality in preserving democracy, particularly in facilitating access to information during elections. The solar eclipse to alter the timing for Eid-Al-Fitr celebrations. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Get ready for an extraordinary telethon at Muslim Network TV. Join us on April 6th for an 8-hour extravaganza. Since 2020, Muslim Network TV, a project by Sound Vision, has been your 24-hour source for diverse and enlightening content. We bring you the truth that other media outlets shy away from, uncovering stories that matter. We need your support to keep Muslims on air. Join us during this blessed month of Ramadan for a day dedicated to producing quality programming that raises awareness and builds a stronger, forward-thinking community. Muslim Network TV is more than just a channel. We are your voice today and the strength of tomorrow. Don't miss this opportunity to make a difference. Mark your calendars for April 6th and be a part of something truly impactful. Together, let's make a difference. Muslim Network TV, where truth and community unite.
Welcome back. With Ramadan winding down, attention has shifted to celebrating Eid-Al-Fitr, the holiday that marks the end of the month of fasting. But this year's festivities face a celestial twist. The total solar eclipse on April 8th affects the sighting of the crescent moon of the next month, which is crucial for marking the end of Ramadan. Originally anticipated for April 9th, Eid may now commence on April 10th due to the eclipse's impact on the moon visibility. Astronomers predict the crescent will be sighted after sunset on April 9th, aligning with the eclipse's influence. While official confirmation awaits, many reports suggest April 10th as the start of Eid. A recent court ruling is mandating that Customs and Border Protection take responsibility for migrant children in makeshift camps along the U.S.-Mexico border. District Judge Dolly G's decision requires CBP to maintain records on minors held in custody and to ensure compliance with standards. A May 10th deadline is set for filing a report on compliance efforts. Neha Desai, Senior Director of Immigration at the National Center for Youth Law, called the ruling a victory for children. The decision emphasizes adherence to a 1997 agreement outlining treatment standards, including limits on how long detention can last and providing for basic amenities. The ruling demands prompt processing and placement of children in safe facilities by the Department of Homeland Security. Immigrant advocates are asserting CBP's role in directing migrants to camps. The ruling reflects shifting migration demographics towards families and placing added strain on agencies accustomed to operations focused on serving adults. Salwan, Momika, an Iraqi Christian notorious for burning copies of the Quran in Sweden, has been arrested in Norway. Momika, facing deportation from Sweden, sought asylum in Norway. But upon arrival in the country on March 28th, he was detained by the Norwegian police. Authorities plan to deport him to Sweden under the Dublin Agreement. Momika indirectly threatened further Quran burnings. Despite a temporary residence permit in Sweden, Momika's deportation was confirmed due to his actions being deemed a serious crime. His burning of copies of the Quran has caused diplomatic tensions, prompting Denmark to pass legislation that sets legal consequences for the act. Sweden is also considering similar measures. The burning of copies of the Quran in Sweden and Denmark under the pretext of free speech has sparked outrage in Muslim countries, including attacks on diplomatic missions. Clashes erupted in Iran's southeastern Sistan and Balochistan province, killing 10 security personnel and 18 militants. The Interior Ministry and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps confirmed the death toll. Attacks in Chabahar and Rusk cities claimed that by the Jaish al-Adl militant group targeted police and military facilities. 2 foreigners orchestrating the attacks were arrested. The Corps cited terrorists affiliated with foreign intelligence services as responsible. This incident echoes tensions following previous attacks and missile strikes between Iran and Pakistan. Sistan and Balochistan province remains volatile. The latest incident comes less than 3 months after Iran launched a barrage of missiles at Pakistan's Balochistan province in January, claiming to target the headquarters of the Jaish al-Adl militant group. Pakistan strongly condemned the strikes and retaliated with a missile strike on a village in the Iranian border province. It claimed that the target was an anti-Pakistan militant group. Approximately 18,000 people have been evacuated, and access to 63 villages has been cut off in Kazakhstan due to a spring flood prompted by melting snow. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev visited the western Kazakhstan region, most affected by the flood. Tokayev first observed the flood area from the air, and then received information about the situation from local officials, later meeting with people affected there. After conducting inspections in many villages in the region, Tokayev visited the evacuation center set up at a school building in the Karatob district. A delegation of Arab politicians, including members from Palestine, Syria, Egypt, and other countries, visited Xinjiang and praised China's policies in the region. Led by Bassem Zakir from Palestine, the delegation highlighted Xinjiang's development and stability, refuting claims of Uyghur persecution. However, experts and Uyghur rights advocates criticized the visit for overlooking the alleged abuses against Uyghur Muslims. Chinese media reported the delegates' positive remarks about the northwestern Chinese region's governance and economic progress, dismissing Western accusations as propaganda. Critics argue China controlled the delegation's access to conceal the reality of Uyghur repression. Despite concerns, China aims to use such visits to garner support from Muslim nations and expand its influence in the Middle East. Critics emphasize the importance of independent investigations to uncover the truths about the situation of Uyghurs. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Muslim Network TV invites you to join us for our Ramadan Telethon 2024, taking place on Saturday, April 6th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. So stay tuned. This Ramadan, your support is needed more now than ever to continue our mission of providing informative, educational, and inspiring content to Muslims in North America and around the world. Donate now by calling 1-800-432-4262. You can also use the Zelle app for easy payments by sending to info@soundvision.com or visit muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.